What's happening? Good Monday to all of you. Thanks for joining me. We got to talk about this Rams Patriots game, Drake Maye, everything that we saw play out yesterday. Both teams moved the ball better than I anticipated them moving the football. It was a higher scoring game than I thought it would be. I will get to Maye in due time, but I have to start with the coaching. Now, I know some people enjoy my ranting and raving, and when I truly vent about something, well, that is going to be at least a big part of the beginning of this podcast today because I have a lot of venting to do. I have a lot of frustration over the coaching. Now, I had a big question last Friday going into this game, and the big question had to do with the coaching. Would Gerard Mayo and his coaching staff across the board show that they can beat a better coaching staff? We know that they could beat Matt Eberflus in Chicago. We know they could beat a dead team in the Jets with Jeff Ulbrich. Zach Taylor, good win week 1. But for the vast majority of this season, we've seen a trend. When the Patriots face coaching staffs that are better, when they have to coach up, so to speak, they're incapable of doing so. They're incapable of winning football games like that. And once again, we saw it yesterday. Can this coaching staff as a whole step up against a better coaching staff when the team needs it to step up? So far, not at all. Let's start with Gerard Mayo. The first thing that drove me bananas about Bill Belichick's final few years as a coach here in New England was the fact that Belichick got more conservative as time went on. You go back to the early years before 2012, Belichick was very aggressive. And then once 2012 hit, the following 13-14 seasons under Belichick, they were more and more conservative as time went on. 4th down and short, you'd always be punting, right? It wouldn't even matter if you were on the plus side of the field near the 50. You're still going to punt the football. So many conservative decisions made by Belichick. And I was hoping that Gerard Mayo, becoming the new head coach, if there was one thing that he would change, was that he would be a little bit more aggressive. This team doesn't have much to win. We know they're not going to get to the playoffs. Be aggressive. Go for it at times. And what happened yesterday? What happened yesterday is, once again, with a situation where you can be aggressive, Gerard Mayo decides to tuck the tail between the legs and go conservative. A field goal attempt from the 2-yard line. This team is 3-7 during that game yesterday. You're at the 2-yard line, and you decide, instead of going for it on 4th and goal from the 2, that you are going to attempt a field goal. You're down 11. It's a 2-possession game. You need a touchdown to tie this at some point. Do you think you're going to get a better opportunity than sitting right there at the 2-yard line to score the touchdown that you need? On top of that, on top of the idea that you need 2 scores to eventually tie this game to go along with a 2-point conversion if you're the Patriots, what was going on during that time? If you're watching the game, what you see is a Patriots defense getting obliterated. In real time, if you're Mayo, you're sitting at the 2, you're down by 11 points, and what you've seen is nonstop drive after nonstop drive from the Rams. Your passing defense is a disaster. The Rams are moving the football at will. They're scoring touchdowns at will. There was nothing in that moment that should have told Mayo that his defense was going to step up. Now, inevitably, they lose the game, right? I will credit the defense came up with a couple of stops when they needed it, but you're making the decision in real time. You're making that decision from the 2-yard line with the information that you have. The information that you have is you're down 11 and you're going against an offense that is torching your defense. And at that point, you have to feel that it's very unlikely that 11 points is going to get this game tied for you. So you have to go for a touchdown, right? But they decide to kick a field goal. Not only that, but you ran the football on 3rd down. If you run the ball on 3rd down from the 2, then you best go for it on 4th down. If you play call the way you play called in that moment, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, if that is your sequence of play calls from inside the 5, You have to do a much better job. And you have to say to yourself, we are going to run on third down because we're going to go for it on fourth down. But you run it on third down and you still go for the field goal. A ridiculous decision. If you went for the touchdown and you got the touchdown, then all you would need is a field goal on that final drive. But because you decide to play it safe, air quotes, and you kick the field goal, guess what, Gerard? You're still down by 8. I mean, it is just unbelievable to think that in that situation with this football team, where you're at on the field, the way that game is going, that you're going to kick a field goal from the 2 instead of go for it from the 2. It's unconscionable. Absolutely unconscionable. But it's not a surprise. Evan Lazar wrote that Gerard Mayo is not following the math. The Patriots rank 27th in how often they should go for it compared to how often they do. 27th. In the bottom 5 or 6 when it comes to aggressive play calling. When you should go for it, Mayo's 27th deciding to go for it. He is as conservative, if not more conservative, than Bill Belichick was in the final years of his Patriots tenure. And it drives me crazy because, again, you're not going anywhere. Be aggressive. Try to win the football game. Do what you can do. But Gerard Mayo continues to lean towards the conservative, play it safe. We're going to try to win this game by 3 points. Not yesterday. That's not a field goal game. That's not a run the football and play ugly type game yesterday. That's a game where your pass defense has no clue what to do because your defensive coordinator, which we'll get to in a little bit. The tenor of that game told you if you want to win, Gerard, you've got to score points. And you had a golden opportunity to put 6 on the board and you kick a field goal for 3. 6 versus 3 when you need points. It doesn't make any sense. But that wasn't it. By the way, when you're down there, this goes back to what I've said about the Drake Maye, we're not going to call designed run stuff. This is what drives me nuts. You have a quarterback who's athletic. If you have that tool in the toolbox, then you use it when it makes sense. When you're inside the 5, instead of running Ramondre Stevenson over and over again, why don't you try to run your quarterback? Why don't you throw a wrinkle in there? Oh, no, because we don't want Drake Maye to run the ball, even though we're going to let him scramble around and take vicious hits when the offensive line is giving up almost 50% pressure rate like they did yesterday. That's okay. We have no problem with that, but we're not going to call for a designed run inside the 5. That's why it's so stupid to me that you have a quarterback that has that ability and you won't use it. What do you think the Buffalo Bills do with Josh Allen in that situation? What do you think the Ravens do if Derrick Henry is running into a brick wall? Do you think they let Lamar Jackson do something with his legs, or they trust Lamar Jackson to do something inside the 5? But no design runs. No design runs. If that wasn't bad enough, then we have the decision leading into the final possession for the Patriots. Gerard Mayo decides, penalty on the Rams on the punt, and he decides to not have the Rams re-kick the football. You're at the 10-yard line when you take the 5 yards. So you accept the 5-yard penalty. You're at the 10. So you're telling me you didn't necessarily trust your rookie quarterback to go for it on 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, but you are perfectly fine with handing the game to the same rookie quarterback to go 90 yards for a game-winning drive. How does that add up? How does it make any sense? I will tell you, spoiler alert, it doesn't make any sense. This is banana land, folks. These coaching decisions are atrocious. So you decide to not force the Rams to kick another punt. So you just accept the fact you're going to start this drive from 90 yards away. to the goal that you're reaching for? How about you have them re-kick it? How about they shank the punt? Maybe something goes wrong with the snap. Maybe your punt rush gets there. Maybe the guy shanks it into the fourth row and you get the ball at the 40-yard line. I don't know. How about giving one of the best punt returners in football an opportunity to return the football to get you in better field position? What in the blue hell are we doing? Marcus Jones is one of your most explosive players, to the point you put him on offense a couple of times yesterday. He's one of your most explosive players with the football in his hands, and he has a chance, even if it's a 15% chance, he has a chance to receive a punt and return it and give you great field position. Shoot, even if it's a 3% chance, Marcus Jones could take that puppy to the house. But you decide to not give one of your most explosive, talented players with the ball in his hands, you decide to not give that guy an opportunity to possibly get his hands on the football in the final couple minutes of that football game, where one play could change the entire dynamic. What are we doing? And as usual, Gerard Mayo doesn't make it any better when he's asked questions about this. He spoke to the media today. He said this about the decision to not have the Rams re-kick. Quote, "To me, give a punter another opportunity to back you up inside the 10 is a huge problem. So decided to take the yards." Now, I want all of us to absorb what Gerard Mayo said right there, because I believe it really shows you how Mayo thinks in real time. It shows you how he coaches scared. It shows you how he coaches conservatively. Mayo's asked why he didn't force the Rams to re-kick, and his answer is, well, you're just going to give the punter another opportunity to back you up inside of the 10. Well, Gerard, how about this idea? What if he doesn't back you up inside the 10? What if he doesn't kick a perfect punt for the second straight time and pin you inside the 10? What if he shanks it? What if he kicks it right at Marcus Jones like Chicago did stupidly last week? What if that happens, Gerard? Gerard's thought process in real time is so conservative, and he coaches with so much fear that he's thinking, you know what? If they re-kick the football, we might have the ball at the 2-yard line instead of the 10-yard line. Instead of thinking, you know what? If they re-kick the football, that gives Marcus Jones another chance, and maybe Marcus Jones returns it to the 50. And he helps our rookie quarterback instead of having his back to the end zone. You see the thought process there? You see why that's a problem? It's like Mayo did not even think about the good. He didn't think about the aggressive play. He didn't think about, oh, if we force the other team to punt the ball, maybe that puts us in a better position. He immediately went to, in his head, yeah, but what if they punt it and they down it inside the 5? Gerard, what if they punt it and down it at the 1-yard line? What if? What if? Instead of giving your guy a shot to make a game-breaking play, in your head, it was, well, they're just going to probably down it inside the 10 anyway, so we might as well just take the yards. You were at the 10 with the penalty. What are the chances that they pin you inside the 10 again versus something good happening for you? It's egregious. It's egregious. It's terrible. Mayo did not use a timeout on 4th and short late in the first half when his defense was clearly not ready, allowing the Rams to quick snap the ball and get an easy first down. Now, fortunately for Gerard, the Rams missed a chip shot field goal. But it's 4th and short. They're running to the line of scrimmage, and Gerard is just watching his defense run around like chickens with their heads cut off and doesn't call a timeout when he's not going to be able to take the timeout in the locker room with him. Call a timeout, get your defense over and say, hey, fellas, let's settle down. Let's get set up here. This is simple stuff. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not asking for a lot. I'm asking for signs of improvement. I'm asking for football 101, basic strategic coaching. And I don't see it on a week-to-week basis. The decisions are deplorable. He goes for an extra point instead of going for 2 when he's down by 9. In the same exact situation against Jacksonville in London, he decided to go for 2. So why did you go for 2 in London, but you go for the extra point yesterday? There's no consistency. Do you have a philosophy? Do you have a principle? What are you doing? I said this weeks ago. Drake Maye, so far, feels like a head coach who reacts to everything. He's reacting to everything. And in real time, he thinks conservatively, he coaches scared, and he doesn't necessarily think quickly on his feet. That's what we've seen so far. By the way, the one decision that I will not criticize Mayo for is deciding to not kick that 54-yard field goal early in the game. Reason why is because Joey Sly, if you were paying attention to some of the reports before the game, Joey Sly had a bad warm-up period. So if you're the head coach and you see your kicker have a bad warm-up period, I don't blame him for not feeling confident in a 54-yard field goal attempt. But all that other stuff was brutal. All right, I got the Marcus Covington to get to. I've got Alex Van Pelt to get to. I've got some of the mistakes that we have to get to from the players themselves. We also have to get to the man of the hour, Drake Maye, who I thought was fantastic for the most part yesterday. We will get to Drake. But before we get to all of that, don't forget to help us out, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving. We got just over a week to do that. We're less than 50 subscribers away. You can help us by doing a couple of things. Doesn't cost you any money. Doesn't cost you a lot of time. Just hit that thumbs up as you watch on YouTube. The more likes means more eyeballs. Throw a comment in. How do you feel about Mayo's coaching? Do you think I'm being too harsh on the head coach? Throw a comment in. That also helps us beat the algorithm. And subscribe. Subscribe and make sure you click that notify bell. All of that stuff helps us. Comment, right? Easy to do. Like, super easy to do. And subscribe, also easy to do. Spotify, Apple Pods, people, I appreciate all of you as well. Don't forget to rate and review. All right, before I get to DeMarcus Covington and just a god-awful defensive plan and lack of adjustments, let's get to a couple of super chats here. Kyle Kirk, $10 super chat. AVP, good job overall. Why are we blitzing Gonzo at all? Why can't Mayo Covington remotely make another team play left-handed, let alone try zone coverage? By the way, how was the beer on Friday? The beer on Friday was really good. Kelly and I went to a local brewery. It's in Rhode Island. I believe it's in Attleboro. It's called Skyrock. I don't know how many of you that live in the Massachusetts, Rhode Island area have gone there. It's our second or third time we've been there. Went to Skyrock, and they had a bunch of different eclectic beers on tap. It was really good. I had a number of beers on Friday night there, then came home, had another beer, and hung out. But yeah, they tasted great. As far as the Covington stuff, the AVP stuff, I will get into that. The Covington plan, to me, I didn't have a huge problem with the plan initially. I have a massive problem with the lack of adjustments. We'll get into that. Thank you for the 10, Kyle. It's much appreciated. Kyle jumped in with a $2 one as well. I would do anything to see some aggression. Me too. You're 3-8 now. Like, you're not going to have a chance to win many games. Go for it. Show some aggression. Drives me nuts. Charlie with a $10 super chat. This is where a few more years of experience would be very helpful. Not sure if coach has the moxie or quarterback does, and that's the asset that needs to be protected. Coach is becoming a liability. I asked myself this question. I want to know in the comments. How many games do you think this Patriots team would have won up to this point if Mike Vrabel was the head coach? And I want to be reasonable here. I don't want to go crazy. We try to be reasonable here. How many wins do you think this team has right now if it's Mike Vrabel instead of Drake Maye? If you just made that change. I'm going to say 6. Now, maybe you'd fight and you'd say 5. But I feel like this team has a legitimate chance with better coaching to be 6-5 right now instead of 3-8. And I think if you swapped Mayo for Vrabel, this is a 5 or 6 win team right now. But I want to know your thoughts. The coaching is absolutely a liability right now. Hopefully it gets better. Antonio Benito, Polk has more penalties than catches. We'll get to that. Right now he's a bust. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you his career is over. It's too early for that, but there's no doubt right now Jalen Polk's a bust. And it's very disappointing because he had a great camp. I saw him play a lot in college. He's got the talent. I don't know what the hell's going on. Vitalics, remember when Bill was smirking on the sideline after intentionally taking penalties to run down the clock after finding a loophole to troll the Jets? We would let coaches puke on themselves to lose games. That's us now, sadly. It does have that feel to it, doesn't it? It has that feel that when this coaching staff is going against most coaching staffs, they're not as good. And look, some of that is understandable. I understand the learning curve. I don't want to keep doing this. I'm sure you don't want to keep watching it. This is not fun for me. What's fun is watching a well-coached team. What's fun is watching a team win. I don't want to keep doing this, but they're giving me no choice. They're giving me no choice. And I just want to see some improvement. Against Chicago, it felt like, okay, that's a good positive step forward. But then inevitably a week later, we're seeing some of the same stuff that just makes you want to pull your hair out. I understand the learning curve. I was not expecting the greatest staff in the world, okay? I was expecting the learning curve and the issues and the obstacles. But I also said from day one, I need to see improvement. And this is the same kind of stuff we see over and over and over again. Justin TF Patriot, they need to play Baker instead of Polk so we can see what he can do. This is a train wreck. Also fired Covington, # Nick's Beer Fund. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. I'm going to get to Covington in a minute. Baker, look, I don't know what Baker's doing at practice. He might not be ready to be out there playing. I know that he had the kickoff return yesterday. Gerard said that he wasn't a big fan of what he saw from Baker on the kickoff returns because there was some indecisiveness. And then he had that ridiculous, I'm going to try to hurdle a guy, which is not necessary in that situation. So I don't know if they trust him. So Greg thinks that Vrabel would have 4 wins, says he's very old school. So that's 4 wins. It's interesting. Charlie says at least 2 more wins. I agree with Charlie. I think this team with Mike Vrabel as the head coach, they have at least 2 more wins. Antonio says maybe Miami and Tennessee. All right, Nick Cattle's with you here. Nick Cattle Show on a Monday. Let's get to DeMarcus Covington. This hurt my brain. Christian Gonzalez is out there. He's not shadowing. He's not shadowing either Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. And Mike Giardi wrote this after the game at Boston Sports Journal. There were no double teams. Gonzalez, one of the top cover corners in football, was basically twiddling his thumbs and singing zippity doo-dah for 3 quarters. Did trying some doubles even get discussed? Kyle Duggar said, quote, "Nah, no, we didn't." Andrew Callahan wrote, after weeks of tasking shutdown corner Gonzalez with shadowing number 1 receivers, the Patriots did not assign Gonzalez to either Kupp or Nacua. They parked Gonzalez in the boundary or short side of the field for the entire game. Now, I didn't have an issue with starting Gonzalez on the boundary. You did that against Chicago, and it worked very well. I didn't have much of an issue with doing that. And I said that on Friday that, you play Gonzalez at the boundary to start this game because Nacua and Kupp, they're pretty much interchangeable for all intents and purposes. So it would make some sense to start Gonzalez on the boundary and see if you can replicate what you did last week against Chicago. But here's the problem. There was no adjustment after that. They started Gonzalez on the boundary. It worked for a drive or two. Then Sean McVay adjusted, and DeMarcus Covington and Gerard Mayo failed to adjust. That's the problem. They never adjusted. They just let the Rams kill them over and over and over again. Here are some numbers from Andrew Callahan. The Patriots played man-to-man on 16 of LA's 27 dropbacks, okay? They were man-to-man on 16 of the 27 dropbacks. Gonzalez covered Kupp or Nacua on 7 of those 16 dropbacks. On those 7 dropbacks, with Gonzo playing one of those 2 guys, the Rams went 4 for 7, 36 yards, a 33% success rate, okay? So with Gonzalez on one of Nacua or Kupp, the Rams had a 33% success rate for 36 yards, 4 of 7 passing. When Gonzo was on other receivers or tight ends, which was my favorite part, Sean McVay literally lined up his offense to stick Gonzalez on tight ends. So Gonzalez was just a waste. He was completely out of the play. He was defending tight ends on the boundary when you had Nacua and Kupp running all over the place. But when Gonzo was not covering one of Nacua or Kupp, instead of 4 for 7 passing, the Rams were 6 for 9. Instead of 36 yards, the Rams had 146 passing yards. Instead of 0 touchdowns, the Rams had 3 touchdowns. Instead of a 33% success rate, the Rams doubled that success rate when Gonzalez was not covering one of the top 2 receivers. The Rams had a 66% success rate in those situations. What in the blue hell are we doing? How do you allow that to happen? When you have Gonzalez covering one of Nacua or Kupp, when he is shadowing one of the top 2 receivers, the Rams offense is 33% successful for 36 yards. When you go away from that, the Rams have a 66% success rate for 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's malpractice. That's malpractice by DeMarcus Covington. To not adjust, to not say, okay, screw it. The original plan was Gonzalez at the boundary. We're not going to do that anymore because the Rams are torching us. They're lining up in a certain way, putting us in a terrible predicament. So now we're going to roll Gonzalez to shadow one of those 2 guys so we can at least take one of those 2 guys out of this game. And they gave up 3 touchdowns. 3. Unconscionable. As Callahan wrote, at best, this was coaching arrogance, but at worst, this was coaching conceit. Not only misevaluating talent on both sidelines, but maintaining you know best despite damning evidence to the contrary. Everything told you in yesterday's game that you should adjust and put Gonzalez on one of Kupp or Nacua. Everything told you that. But you decided to not do it. Again, whether it was stubbornness or arrogance or ignorance or negligence, whatever you want to call it, it was bad. Period. End of sentence. It was bad. And Drake Maye had the nerve after yesterday's game to tell the media that he thought the Patriots were in control of that game. He thought the Patriots were in control of that game because the Patriots had such a big margin with time of possession. Well, Gerard, I've got news for you. Time of possession tends to be a little bit off balance when one team is throwing the football and absolutely ripping up chunk yards after chunk yards after chunk yards. Time of possession meant nothing in the game yesterday, Gerard, because your pass defense was giving up a 70-yard play to Cooper Kupp to start the 3rd quarter. This is the type of stuff that's being said. Ay. Let's keep the hits coming. Covington decided to blitz the Rams 63% of the time. He blitzed the Rams 63% of the time. And Matthew Stafford just kept shredding the blitz. Remember that play I just mentioned, Cooper Kupp? You come out of the locker room, it's 2nd and 9, and you go with a 0 blitz. You send the house, and you leave Kupp one-on-one with Jonathan Jones with no help on the back end. Stafford reads it, hits Kupp, 70-yard touchdown. Why are you being so aggressive in that moment? Why is that the play call? Why did you blitz? Matthew Stafford, 63% of the time. Why did you keep blitzing Stafford when Stafford continued to kill you? And by the way, the zero blitz, you have guys coming from like the secondary. They're not going to get home. If you're going zero blitz, throw everybody at the line of scrimmage and just send the house. If you're going to send the house, send the house. Put them on the line of scrimmage and try to knock Stafford into Mansfield. But here's the thing. The Patriots kept blitzing and blitzing and blitzing, and Stafford kept killing them and killing them and killing them. Stafford against the blitz. This is according to Evan Lazar. Stafford against the blitz yesterday, 12 for 17, 217 yards and 3 touchdowns. 12 for 17, 217 in the air, and 3 touchdowns. Almost every single time you blitzed, he killed you, and you kept blitzing. Awful. You gave up 5.35 yards per carry to running backs, so the run defense was atrocious again. You had yet another red zone coverage breakdown. How many times do we need to see a busted coverage in the red zone? Yesterday was like the 4th or 5th time we've seen that happen. The field is condensed. You should all be on the same page. But for like the 4th or 5th time this year, we have a red zone busted coverage, a communication error. One guy doesn't know what the other guy is doing. Happens too many times. And once again, how many takeaways did the Patriots defense have? How many? Oh, yeah, that'd be 0. 0. 0 takeaways. This team can't turn footballs over. Just can't do it. All right. Let's get to some of the mistakes before I get to the good. I want to talk about Alex Van Pelt, and I got to talk about Drake Maye. Don't forget to help us out here on this podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. Trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by Turkey Day. Gobble, gobble. You can help us. All right. Mistakes. Demontre Jacobs gave up an extra point block. Terrible. You had the drop by Kayshon Boutte, which cost you 3 points. You had the drop by Jaheim Bell, which cost you another 3 points, at least another 3 points. If Bell and Boutte just catch the football, this game is tied. You had Bryce Behringer. When your head coach decided to not go for it on 4th down, you end up punting the football into the end zone instead of pinning the Rams. You had the illegal formation by Vidarian Lowe, which really should have been, honestly, on Michael Jordan. Jordan was set back further than Vidarian Lowe was. But you had the illegal formation, which killed you. You had the Jalen Polk false start. Now, what people aren't bringing up, by the way, about that Jalen Polk false start is if you watch that over again, the Patriots ran out of time. The play clock was hitting 0. So even if Jalen Polk did not have that false start, the Patriots end up getting a delay of game. So the operation was not clean from the very beginning. The play call wasn't in quick enough. Whatever they were trying to do with the direct snap and Maye's trying to talk to people, whatever that was, if you watch that play over again, the play clock is down to 0 right as Jalen Polk is jumping off and gets that false start. So even if he didn't have the false start, it was still going to be a delay of game, a penalty. So yes, terrible by Polk. Again, he's played like a bust to this point. Hopefully he turns it around, but he's played like a bust. But the whole operation you can question there because that play was not going to get off. They were not going to snap that football off in time. So everybody's overlooking that. They're all paying attention to Jalen Polk, and I get why. But go back and watch that and look at the play clock. You got double zeros up there, baby. So even if Polk doesn't do that, you're still not getting that play off, and that's on everybody. Turnover differential, -2. Not good. The offensive line predictably had issues against this defense. Evan Lazar, Patriots offensive line, allowed a pressure rate of 47.8%. Way too high. 32% rushing success rate. Lowe and Jacobs struggled at the tackle positions. They allowed the most pressure with 6 combined quick pressures allowed in under 2.5 seconds. So it's really not a surprise. We talked about the offensive line against the defensive line in the preview podcast. I said I was concerned by it. When you look at what the Rams do, the quick pressure that they get, and it was a tough day for the offensive line. Defensive line wasn't good enough either. You lost in the trenches on both sides of the football. All right, I went 35 minutes on the bad. Let's get to some of the good, shall we? Let's cleanse the palate. Let's get to some of the good, because not everything yesterday was a disaster. Alex Van Pelt. I have been critical of Van Pelt a number of times this year. I have also said many times I give credit when credit is due. I criticize when the criticisms are justified. And Alex Van Pelt, over the past few weeks, overall has been better. And I thought yesterday was his best game as the offensive coordinator of your New England Patriots in this 2024 season. I thought Van Pelt had a good day. He showed some creativity. He had Marcus Jones out there. And what I liked about it is the first time Marcus Jones, get the football, great. But then the second time they used Marcus Jones as a decoy for that nice screen pass to Ramondre Stevenson. And that play could have been a bigger play if Ramondre hit it upfield a little bit quicker. But that's smart play calling, right? So you utilize Marcus Jones. You sit him, you set up the defense thinking about Marcus Jones. Their eyes start tracking Marcus Jones, and then you hit him with the screen for a good gain. That's good play calling. Good play calling. I thought the screens, we talked about screen passes on Friday, previewing the game. Take advantage of the aggressiveness of this Rams defense, and I thought Van Pelt did that. You had a number of running back screens and tight end screens, and most of them worked. But the best job that Van Pelt did was that he gave a game plan to Drake Maye that allowed Drake Maye to play as well as he did yesterday. And yes, a lot of that is because of Drake Maye, which we'll get to. I'm going to break down Drake Maye's game. I'm going to give you some unbelievable numbers from the game yesterday for your rookie quarterback. But let's look at the play caller first. Set up your young quarterback to succeed. And we saw a lot of that. How do we see a lot of it? The quick passing game. The reason why that Maye could be so good yesterday, even though there was almost a 50% pressure rate, is because of the play calling from Alex Van Pelt. It was setting up the quarterback to have quick answers to the tests. The quick game, right? So Taylor Kyles posted this on Twitter. Yesterday, when you look at the season ranks for Drake Maye, average time to throw, yesterday was the fastest average time to throw for Maye through his 6 starts. So he was getting rid of the football super quick. Maye's average depth of target was the shortest. Makes sense. Van Pelt did not call a lot of plays that were like long to develop against this Rams defensive front. He went into this game with the game plan, I've got to make sure my quarterback gets rid of the football quickly. So that's why you have the average time to throw being the fastest and the average depth of target being the shortest. It makes sense. Screens, right? Screens to the wide receiver, screens to the running back, screens to the tight ends, those quick little sit routes for the tight ends. Get rid of the ball quickly. Just move it. And that's what you saw. It was a smart game plan. The play action pass to Vidarian Lowe was a perfectly timed play call. I mean, really, you look at that game, and the Patriots should have easily had 30 points on the board. If Booty and Bell catch the football, they have 28 on the board. So to me, against that defense, I'm not expecting you to put up a 30 spot against the Rams. So I thought Van Pelt had a damn good day. And I've got some more numbers for you. Evan Lazar, the Patriots offense, set season highs in total yards, play success rate, and they averaged a solid 5.2 yards per play. Andrew Callahan, he posted the Patriots had a 50+% success rate on runs and passes on first down. The first down play calling was nearly 50-50, 54.5% pass. So again, you were very successful on first down. and you were balanced on first down. It wasn't run, 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 run. It was throw the football, run, throw the football, run. A more balanced attack, better balance from the play caller. Callahan mentioned he also diversified the run game beyond duo, outside zone. New England hit a counter for a couple of good gains. So overall, I thought it was a good day for Alex Van Pelt. Not perfect. There were nitpicks. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more exotic inside the 5 on that field goal drive. Again, I'd like them to use Drake Maye's legs. They were 2 of 5 in the red zone. So the last 2 weeks, they have not been good in the red zone. The first week, I gave credit to Chicago's defense because Chicago's defense had been very good in the red zone. Not so much yesterday against the Rams, so they've got to be more successful in the red zone. You could argue they tried to get a little bit too cute on the false start on Polk / delay of game that would have been called. Got a little too cute. You had Baker and Polk out there for that snap, and it just seemed a little discombobulated. The timing was off, so maybe you try to do too much there. All right, let's get to Drake Maye. Like, comment, and subscribe. I thought Drake Maye was excellent overall. I thought he saw the field very well. He was decisive in what he was trying to do. He extended plays, and when he extended plays, he looked to throw first instead of run. A number of times when he extended plays, he got some splash plays out of it. I thought one of the best plays of the game was the extended play when he found Pop Douglas for a nice little chunk. And he was great against pressure. I mean, Drake Maye yesterday, he was fantastic against pressure. Phil Perry wrote, by Phil's initial count, Maye went 13 for 19 for $153 under pressure. 13 for 19 and $153. So all of that pressure around Drake Maye, it didn't bother the rookie quarterback. So you talk about seeing the field well, understanding the progressions quickly enough, being decisive in what he's trying to do, extending plays, but he's looking to throw the football while he extends, being damn good against pressure, heat after heat after heat after heat, right? He was accurate. I think, when you watch yesterday's game, there weren't a lot of passes where you said, wait a minute, where's he throwing the football, right? I mean, the vast majority of his attempts were pretty much right on target. So he was very accurate yesterday in the quick passing game, which is not supposed to be a strong point of Drake Maye. Drake Maye is supposed to be the gunslinger. He's going to rip it downfield, et cetera, et cetera. Well, yesterday he showed you he could be more of a point guard. He getting rid of the football quickly. He knows where he wants to go to get rid of that football. And he was very accurate, very decisive. And I thought he played with overall just a great rhythm. There was a great rhythm to his game. He seemed like he was feeling it. And there was not really many moments where he was looking fried in that pocket. He wasn't looking, scared. He looked very poised and calm for the most part. Even when the Rams got immediate pressure, he looked, for the vast majority of those times, he looked like he was under control and understood what was going on. He ran when it was absolutely necessary. He didn't step back in that pocket and then just go, oh no, I got to run immediately. He played under more control. I thought he took a number of profits, as they say, right? Number of checkdowns, where he didn't want to force it, so he'd take the check down and move on to the next play. He didn't waste a lot of time. Again, goes into that decisiveness. And he had the splash plays, the extension to Pop that I talked about. I thought the Kendrick Bourne touchdown was a freaking dart. I mean, that thing was a bullet into Bourne's chest. So I thought you had some of those splash plays. He just... Overall, to me, Drake Maye did not feel rushed at all. He was very confident in diagnosing what the defense was trying to do. And if you're looking at Drake Maye and you're watching that game yesterday, I don't know how you walk away from that game not saying that's the best game he's had in his NFL career so far. I walked away saying that was easily Maye's best game of his very, very, very short career. And if you're doing stock up, stock down, whatever, I mean, that arrow to me after yesterday's game for Drake Maye, that arrow is pointing way up. I thought he was really, really good. Thought he was excellent. And I was not the only one. And the numbers will tell you that he was excellent. Again, my friend Evan Lazar wrote that Drake Maye had season highs in passing yards, completions, EPA per play, drop back success rate. When Drake Maye dropped back yesterday, he was successful in doing that 63% of the time, which is a very high success rate. His completion percentage over expectation, which we've talked about, plus 11.2%. And we got to keep this in perspective too. So not only is Drake Maye giving you those kinds of numbers, not only did he play as well as he played yesterday, he's doing that against a Rams defense that over the last month, the prior month heading into yesterday's game, the Rams defense, we talked about this on Friday. It's not hindsight. This Rams defense, the prior month, walking into this game yesterday, was literally one of the 5 best defenses in football. And they continue to get better. They're very young on that side of the ball, but they've been really good the last month. They were second in expected points added over the last month. So they were second in defensive EPA over the last month before walking into yesterday's game. So not only did Maye do this, he did this against a defense that got almost 50% pressure, in a defense that had literally been one of the best defenses in football over the last 4 weeks. So that should make you feel even better about what Maye did yesterday. The level of competition, the team that he was facing, the obstacles that were in front of him as a 22-year-old rookie. And this team is asking him to do all of this. It's not like he's got a plethora of weapons surrounding him and an offensive line that's building a wall in front of him. And he played that well against that level of defense when being asked to do as much as he's being asked to do. I don't know how you don't walk away from that game being very impressed by Drake Maye. Taylor Kyles, if you look at personal rankings for Drake Maye in his 6 starts yesterday versus the other 5 starts, his accuracy percentage was the highest of the season. His adjusted completion percentage was the highest of the season. His passer rating was the second highest of his 6 starts. And his Pro Football Focus pass grade was the highest pass grade for him personally so far this season. Statistically, analytically, and with just the eye test, that was Drake Maye's best game so far as a pro. Now, it wasn't perfect. The last play, the interception, was it a miscommunication? What happened? It depends on who you listen to and who you read. Kurt Warner posted that, that last play, he tweeted out, hard to know what they had talked about, if that timing was an actual option or Maye was just hoping Douglas would see what he saw. Kurt Warner said that he liked the idea by Drake Maye on that final play. But the receiver and quarterback were just not on the same page. He said they can learn from it one way or another. Evan Lazar said he puts it mostly on the quarterback. Now, the one thing about Maye, and we've talked about this, he has now 14 turnover-worthy plays. The biggest issue with him. And he has to, at some point, get better. You're not going to survive with a ton of turnover-worthy plays as an NFL quarterback. He has to eventually address that. But I am not freaking out about it. I'm going to be patient. He's 22 years old. He did not play a ton of college football. He lost his senior season in high school due to the COVID year. This is somebody who has not played a ton of football. I mean, he started almost 30 less games than Jaden Daniels at the collegiate level. So I am willing to be patient with him. You have to think about how much football that he's played compared to many other guys that we've seen. And we also have to remember, again, what they're asking from him. I mean, he's being asked to practically carry this offense on a weekly basis. That's a lot to ask a rookie quarterback. So I'm going to be patient with the turnover-worthy plays, but I'm not going to just overlook it and act like they're not happening. They're happening. I don't put the fumble on him yesterday, by the way. I saw a post on Twitter that strip sack, that was the fastest sack for a defensive lineman in the NFL this year. So it was like 2.3 seconds or something crazy. So that's coming from Maye's blind side. The Rams run a stunt, caught the offensive line off guard. They got to Maye within, under 2.5 seconds. They got to Maye. He just got drilled. But the turnover-worthy plays, big picture overall, yes, he has to do a better job. But I take it as part of the learning process. He took a late sack. That was another mistake. Got to get rid of the football. Have to get rid of that football. You can't take that sack late in the fourth quarter. So, there are certain things. He's not going to be flawless. But when I look at Maye, this is what I tweeted this last night. We should not be asking Drake Maye to be perfect for this team to win a football game. That's asking way too much of Maye. It is not on Drake Maye that this team lost yesterday because he wasn't flawless. If the defense stepped up, if his receivers stepped up, if the offensive line gave up a little less pressure, if the head coach was more aggressive, we should not have to ask Maye to be perfect for this team to win a football game. They need to somewhat lift him as he's lifting everybody. Let me ask you this. Do the Patriots have a chance in that game yesterday if Drake Maye doesn't play as well as he played? No. I think yesterday's game is a blowout if Drake Maye doesn't play as well as he played. A blowout. So we can sit there and we can wonder about that last play interception, and we can pick this apart or pick that apart. But the only reason that you're even in a position for that last pass to matter is because of how good your rookie quarterback was up until that point. And if he wasn't excellent yesterday, you are getting embarrassed. You're getting humiliated in front of your home crowd. So I take the good out of that. The only reason that you had a shot. And if you don't believe me, then believe some guys that have coached and played in the league. I'm going to end with these two takes on Drake Maye. First, Sean McVay. Sean McVay in the postgame yesterday said the following about Drake Maye. You can really see his ability to create off schedule. I thought he did a great job of being able to make plays in the pocket today, extend drives. I thought he was patient, taking some underneath checkdowns. We had tighter coverages, and he was able to fit the ball into tight windows. He looks like a stud. I didn't do much work on him coming out. I do know a lot of people that studied him really hard that I truly respect their opinions, loved what he was all about. You can see just the impact that he has on his teammates, the way people talk about him here. He looks like he's going to be a special player for a long time, and he gave us fits today. That's not me. That's not a New England coach. That's not a player, a teammate of Drake Maye. That is Sean McVay yesterday, calling your rookie quarterback a stud, saying he gave us fits. He made a ton of plays. Here's what Kurt Warner posted last night on Twitter about Drake Maye's start yesterday against the Rams. The game that Maye played today was the third best rookie quarterback performance I have seen all year. He puts in parentheses, the other two were by Jaden Daniels. Saw the field, made the throws, anticipated, threw it away when needed to, and made some off-schedule plays when nothing was there. Impressive. So if you don't want to believe me, that's both Sean McVay and Kurt Warner telling you that Drake Maye was damn good in that football game yesterday. And I continue to walk away feeling great about him. And I think if you can get him help, and it's going to be the question, right? It's going to be the big question. But if you can just get him some help, then I think he's got such a high, crazy high ceiling. But you got to get him that help because you can't ask him to do everything week in and week out. Too much on a rookie. He's going to need some help from the coaching staff. He's going to need some help from, more talent on the field. Click that thumbs up. Like this podcast if you like what we do here. Don't forget to like and beat that YouTube algorithm. Smash it in the face. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to throw a comment in. What'd you think of Drake Maye's game yesterday? Am I going too crazy? Am I being too optimistic about the quarterback? So give us a like, throw a comment in. Don't forget to subscribe. Try and hit 5,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Pods, on demand, don't forget to rate and review. And you can always come on over to the YouTube world to like, comment, and subscribe as well. We will be back on Wednesday at 3 p.m. live. That's Eastern time right here on YouTube. Until then, be well. This has been the Nick Cattle Show.